Hi everyone, I'm Hillary Mulick from Hillary Mulick Photography, and I'm so excited today because I'm going to be sharing with you my 3 favorite lenses that I use on a wedding day. So let's get started. So I know when you get started as a wedding photographer, it can be really overwhelming because there's lots of different photography equipment out there, and it can range from $50 to thousands and thousands of dollars, and you don't want to invest in pieces in your equipment that are not going to be useful to you or that you're not going to use very much. So today I thought it would be great to share with you my 3 favorite lenses that I use on the wedding day, so that when you are building up your gear, this information might be helpful to you when you are in the market for some lenses. So my first lens I'm going to talk about is my 50mm lens. It is my most used lens, and I use it about 90% of the wedding day, which is a lot, and that only goes to show how much I love this lens. It's super versatile. It's great in literally any situation. I shoot it both indoors, outdoors. I shoot it anywhere from details to portraits, candids, anything that I can shoot with my 50mm, I usually try to. I also love the 50mm because it has the most minimal amount of distortion, which is not the same for other lenses that I use on a wedding day. I also love shooting my 50mm lens because those images that they produce in my digital camera mimic my images that I get from my film camera really well. So when I am putting together my film and my digital images in the gallery later, my 50mm images look very, very similar to my film images in like the crop and everything. So if I was on a desert island and I can only bring one lens, this would be the lens that I would bring. Okay, so my second most used lens that I use on my wedding day is my 35mm, and that's actually what I'm using to film right now. So I can't show you the lens in person, but since I shoot Nikon, it's a Nikkor 35mm 1.4G, and this lens is my second most used because it's my wide lens that has the least amount of distortion in my opinion. So some of those wider lenses like 24mm or 18mm, they're going to get more of a fishbowl effect and a rounding on the edge of the images, whereas my 35mm, I don't notice that as much. I love shooting large landscape shots with my 35mm, so like big shots of the venue or big shots of like the entire ceremony setup or their entire reception setup. I also use my 35mm a lot when I am shooting indoor getting ready portraits, especially if we're in a small room and I can't back up a lot and I can't use my 50mm. I love using my 35mm for that. I also use my 35mm a lot for flat lays, and actually most of my reception candids and dance photos are almost 100% shot on my 35mm. For those shots in particular, the candids and the movement and everything that's going on a dance floor, I love what the 35mm brings to that, where I can really get up close into like dance circles and stuff and still be able to capture the full story of what's going on because it's a wider lens. So I love my 35mm for all of those reasons. So my third most used lens on a wedding day is my 85mm, and I only use this lens maybe, I don't know, 10, maybe 15% of the wedding day, so I don't really use it a lot, but when I do break it out, it's for a very special purpose. I love shooting this lens in portrait sessions because it just has a really beautiful compression, or in other words, that blur that is behind a subject that the 50mm just doesn't quite have. And so I love my 85 for that reason. I just think it's a really beautiful romantic lens. I also love my 85mm for getting closer up at ceremonies and speeches at the reception. I don't use a lot of zoom lenses in my work. I prefer prime because I can shoot at lower apertures with prime lenses. So my 85 is a great way to be able to zoom in a little bit more and get that really beautiful compression without having to use a zoom lens. So love my 85 for that reason. All right, so there you have it. Those are my 3 favorite and most used lenses on a wedding day. It's my 50mm, 35mm, and my 85mm. Down in the description, I have a free guide that you can download that has a breakdown of the list of all the lenses that I use on the wedding day, so even the ones that weren't mentioned in this video, and what I use them for, particularly on a wedding day. So when you are building up your gear, you can have that list in the back of your mind. So don't forget, I come out with new videos every single Monday, so thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!